Amara went viral before she even understood what that meant. It started with a simple video. Nothing dramatic, nothing planned. Just her sitting in the passenger seat of her husband's car, smiling like someone who had just won life. "Hi guys," she said, turning the camera towards herself. "This is me and my husband." She paused, then laughed. My husband. That word alone meant everything to her. Because where Amara came from, marriage wasn't something you celebrated. It was something you managed quietly. Girls didn't wear white gowns. There were no eyes, no vows. Most times, it started with pregnancy and ended with adjustment. But Amara, she broke that pattern. And not in a small way. Her wedding was loud, beautiful, intentional. People traveled, they dressed up. They watched her walk down the aisle like she was rewriting history. Because in her family, she actually was. And that was the problem. At the time, she didn't see it that way. To her, it was victory. Proof that things could be different. Proof that she had escaped something. So when she posted that first video, she wasn't thinking about consequences. She was thinking about celebration. The video got attention more than she expected. People commented, "God, when? This is beautiful." Amara read every single one, and something inside her began to grow. Not pride, not exactly, but something close. Validation. The next day, she posted again. This time, a short clip of her and Dave stepping out together. "Daytime with my husband," she said, smiling into the camera. Dave gave a small wave. Awkward, not fully comfortable, but he didn't complain. At first, it felt harmless. Just sharing moments, just documenting happiness. Morning, she posted. Afternoon, she posted. Evening, she posted. If they were eating, she recorded it. If they were laughing, she recorded it. If Dave surprised her, she made sure the camera was on. And slowly, people started paying attention, real attention. Her views increased, her followers jumped. Strangers began recognizing her face. "Amara, I saw your video. You and your husband are so sweet. I love your content." She loved it. Not just the attention, but the feeling that people were watching her live and admiring it. But Dave was starting to feel something else. "Do you have to record everything?" he asked one evening. Amara didn't even look up from her phone. "It's just content." "Our life is not content." She paused, then gave a small smile. "You will get used to it." He didn't argue, but he didn't feel right either. A week later, his phone rang. It was their pastor. After greetings, the tone shifted. "Be careful," the pastor said. Dave frowned slightly. "Sir?" "Tell your wife to reduce what she shares online. Not everything should be exposed." Dave felt something settle in his chest, heavy. That evening, Dave brought it up. "Amara, Pastor called me today." She looked up. "What for?" "He said you should reduce what you post online. That not everything should be exposed." Amara stared at him for a second, then let out a dry laugh. "Your pastor said that?" "Yes." She shook her head slowly. "That man is a fool." Dave blinked. "What did you just say?" "I said he's a fool," she repeated, completely unfazed. "Amara, that's my pastor." And she replied instantly. The tone was what shocked him the most. Not emotional, just careless. Then she added, "Did I say it to his face?" Dave didn't respond. "Or you want to go and report me?" She continued. That was when it hit him. This wasn't just anger. This was attitude. He leaned back slightly, studying her in silence. Because for the first time since they got married, he was seeing something he hadn't paid attention to before. Amara had no filter, not with people, not with correction, not even with respect. And it didn't start today. Online, she was the same, sharp-tongued, dismissive, quick to shut people down. Anyone who questioned her choices or advised caution, she didn't ignore them. She responded, and not kindly. To her, it was confidence. But to anyone watching closely, it was something else. And Dave was just beginning to notice. But he let it go because sometimes peace feels easier than correction. Amara, however, had already made a decision. If the pastor didn't want to see her post, he simply wouldn't. So she blocked him, then continued. And that was when things really started changing. Because once she removed the only voice that cautioned her, there was nothing left to slow her down. Her content became bolder, more frequent, more personal, and the growth explosive. Within weeks, Amara wasn't just posting anymore. She was building an audience, a real one. Thousands of people watching her, following her, tracking her life, and she loved it. What she didn't know was this: the more people watched her, the more she was being seen. Not just by followers, but by something else. Something that didn't need to like or comment. Just watch and wait. By the time Amara realized what was happening, it was already too big to stop. At first, it was just attention. Then, it became traction. And before she could finally process it, it turned into influence. "Hi guys, welcome back," she said one morning, adjusting her camera with practiced ease. There was nothing awkward about her anymore. No hesitation, no self-consciousness. She had found her rhythm. "Today, I'm taking you through my morning routine as a married woman," she continued, smiling brightly. And just like that, people tuned in. Thousands. They watched her cook, they watched her clean, they watched her smile with her husband. And what made it addictive was this: it didn't feel fake, it felt real. "Your marriage gives me hope," one comment read. "I pray I find this kind of love." Another said, "I watch your videos every day." Someone else added. Amara read them all, and every time she did, that feeling came back. Validation. It wasn't just about sharing anymore. It was about being seen. Even Dave noticed the shift. "Your phone is always in your hand now," he said one evening. Amara didn't look up. "I am working." "Working?" She turned to him. "Yes, this is work now." That word hung in the air. Work. It changed everything. Because once something becomes work, you don't slow down. You push harder. And that's exactly what she did. More videos, more consistency, more exposure. She expanded to multiple platforms: Instagram, Facebook, and the growth faster than before. Her followers doubled, then tripled, then skyrocketed. Brands started reaching out. Small deals at first, then bigger ones. "Amara, we'd love to collaborate. Can you feature our product in your next video? We are willing to pay." The moment she received her first payment, everything changed. She screamed, "Dave!" He rushed in. "What happened?" She showed him her phone. "They paid me just to post." Dave forced a smile. "That's good." But something in his chest tightened, because now there was money attached, and money has a way of making things harder to walk away from. Meanwhile, the comments were evolving, not just admiration anymore. Now they were strange ones. "Be careful what you show. Not every eye watching you is happy for you. Some things are better kept private." Amara read them, then laughed. "Jealous people everywhere," she said during a live session. "Don't worry," she added confidently. "What God has given me, nobody can take." The comment section exploded. fire emojis, claps, cheers. That statement alone pushed her video even further. But Dave didn't react because deep down, he didn't feel the same confidence. Something about everything happening felt too fast, too open, too exposed. Then came the day everything shifted again. Amara stood in the bathroom, staring at the test strip. Her heart was pounding so loudly she could hear it. 2 lines. She blinked, looked again, still there. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Dave!" He rushed in immediately. "What happened?" She turned to him slowly, eyes wide, voice shaking. "I am pregnant!" Then there was silence. Then joy exploded. He laughed, she cried. He lifted her. He held him tightly. It felt like another level of victory. Marriage checked. Now pregnancy. To Amara, this wasn't just happiness. It was proof that she had truly escaped everything behind her. And just like before, her first instinct wasn't silence. It was her phone. "Hi guys," she said, already emotional. "I have the biggest news." That video, it didn't just perform, it blew up. Comments flooded in at a speed she had never seen before. "Congratulations, God is too faithful. This is your season." Back-to-back blessings. Amara was overwhelmed, not with fear, with excitement, because now her life wasn't just admired, it was followed closely. From that moment on, she documented everything: doctor's visits, scan results, baby bump growth. "Guys, look at this. Guys, my baby kicked today. Guys, I'm so emotional." Nothing was off limits. Dave tried again. "Amara, maybe you should keep this one private." She sighed, not angrily, just dismissively. "Not you too. I am serious. It's just pregnancy, Dave." "That's exactly why." She shook her head. "I am not hiding my blessings." That sentence ended the conversation, but the warning didn't stop there, because later that evening, Dave's phone rang again. The pastor. This time, the tone was different, stronger. "You people are not listening," he said. Dave sat up immediately. "Sir, tell your wife to stop posting. Not reduce, not be careful. Stop." A pause, then. "This child needs covering." Dave felt something cold move through him. "Sir, is something wrong?" "Not yet," the pastor said quietly. "But if she continues, there may be." That night, Dave didn't take it lightly. He sat Amara down. No jokes, no soft tone. "You need to stop posting," he said firmly. Amara stared at him, then laughed. "You're serious?" "Yes." "Because of what? Fear?" "It's not fear. It is," she snapped. "And I refuse to live like that." Her voice dropped, colder now. "I know what I'm doing." And that was it. Conversation over. Decision made. But this time, she adjusted her strategy. She didn't stop. She just became selective. Anyone she felt could monitor her, she blocked them. Then she continued even more freely, because now, in her mind, there were no more watching eyes. At night, it began subtly. A dream. She was running, but she didn't know from what. Another night, hands reaching for her stomach. She woke up sweating, heart racing. She sat up, looked around, nothing. "Just hormones," she whispered. By morning, she forgot, picked up her phone, and posted again, because the world was watching, and she wasn't about to stop now. The pain started quietly, so quietly Amara almost ignored it. She shifted slightly on the bed, pressing her palm against her lower stomach. Dave looked up from his phone. "You okay?" I think so," she said, exhaling slowly. "Maybe it's starting." That word alone changed everything. Starting. Within an hour, the contractions became clearer, stronger, more defined. By evening, They were already at the hospital. First baby? The nurse asked casually as she helped Amara settle in. Amara nodded, forcing a small smile. Yes. Don't worry, the nurse said. You'll be fine. At that point, everything still felt normal. Amara even tried to stay light. She reached for her phone out of habit. Hi guys, she said weakly, adjusting the camera. I think I am in labor. Dave immediately took the phone from her. Not now. For once, she didn't argue because the pain was increasing, slowly at first, then steadily, then aggressively. By midnight, Amara was gripping the hospital bed tightly, her breathing uneven, her body tense. Ah, Jesus, she cried out, her voice echoing through the room. Breathe, Ma, breathe, the nurse instructed calmly. But it didn't feel like something she could breathe through anymore. Morning came, no baby. By afternoon, the situation shifted. Amara's scream grew louder, raw, unfiltered. I can't do this, she cried, tears streaming down her face. I can't. Her entire body was working, fighting, straining, but nothing was happening, no progress. By night, it got worse. The pain didn't come in waves anymore. It stayed, constant, like something was wrong, deeply wrong. The pain had gone on for too long. At first, everyone thought it was normal. First baby, long labor, it happens. But by the time it crossed into the second day, even the doctors stopped sounding confident. Amara lay on the bed, exhausted, not screaming anymore, just breathing, slowly, heavily. I am tired, she whispered. Dave held her hand, but his own hands were already shaking. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The doctor stepped aside with the nurse. She's not progressing the way she should, he said quietly. Dave caught the tone, not panic, but concern, serious concern. He stepped out of the room, pulled out his phone, called the pastor. Sir, his voice was low. She's been in labor for a long time. They are saying it's not progressing well. On the other end, the pastor went quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, I understand. No panic, no alarm, just that. I'll pray, he added. The call ended. Back at home, the pastor didn't sit casually. He went straight into prayer. Not long, not loud, just focused. Father, let there be ease, he said quietly, and he stayed there, praying. Back at the hospital, something shifted. The doctors noticed it first. Okay, she's responding now, one of them said. Amara's body began to cooperate, slowly. Good, keep going, the nurse encouraged. Dave looked up immediately. Hope flickered again. After hours of struggle, things started moving. Push, the doctor instructed. Amara gathered the little strength she had left, and then a cry, a baby's cry, sharp, alive. It's a boy. Relief flooded the room. Dave broke down instantly. Tears, deep relief. Thank you God. Everything that had gone wrong suddenly felt like it had passed. The baby was alive, but then something changed. Wait, one of the doctors said. That tone again. Dave looked up. Amara hadn't moved. Her eyes were closed, too still. Amara, he called. No response. The nurses moved quickly now. Check her vitals. A pause, then more urgency. Doctor! Dave's chest tightened. What's happening? No one answered him directly. They were already working, trying. They tried everything. CPR, emergency response, desperation. Nothing worked. Minutes passed. Then they stopped. I am sorry, Mr. Dave. The words hit like a blow. Dave collapsed. No, he shouted. She just gave birth. What do you mean she's gone? No answer, because there was nothing to say. The baby cried in the background, alive, but Amara was not. Dave staggered back, then grabbed his phone again, called the pastor. This time, his voice was broken. "Sir, my wife is gone." There was silence, longer this time. Then, a deep breath from the other end. "Stay there," the pastor said. "I am coming." By the time the pastor arrived, the atmosphere had already changed. The hospital corridor was too quiet. Dave was seated outside the room, elbows on his knees, both hands locked over his head. He didn't even notice when the pastor walked in. "Dave?" He looked up, eyes red, face drained. "Sir?" His voice broke immediately. "They said she didn't make it." The pastor held his gaze for a few seconds, not rushing to speak, not offering quick comfort. Then he asked quietly, "Where is she?" Dave pointed towards the room. They are preparing to move her." The pastor didn't wait. He walked straight in. Inside, 2 nurses were already arranging things, covering her properly, getting ready. "Please, hold on," the pastor said. They paused, looked at him, then at each other. "Sir, we've already..." Just give me a moment," he said, calm, firm. Something in his tone made them step back. The room went quiet again. Amara lay there, still, unmoving. If you didn't know better, you would think she was just sleeping. The pastor stood beside the bed, looked at her for a long moment. Then he placed his hand gently on her head and closed his eyes. "Father, have mercy." Behind him, Dave stood frozen, listening, not fully understanding what he was hoping for anymore. Because as far as everyone in that room was concerned, it was already over. The pastor continued, "Lord," she was warned, but she did not understand. "Please, Lord, have mercy." Minutes passed, nothing happened. No movement, no change. Even the nurses exchanged quiet glances. Dave swallowed hard, his chest tightening again. Then slowly, the pastor's tone shifted, not louder, but firmer. "This will not end like this." The words didn't echo, but they landed. "You did not give this life. You will not take it." The room felt different. He continued praying, steady, focused, still nothing. Then suddenly, he stopped, completely. The silence that followed was thick. Dave frowned slightly. Why did he stop? Then, the pastor did something unexpected. He began to sing, softly. No instrument, no choir, just his voice. A simple worship song. At first, it almost felt out of place. But he didn't stop. He continued, slowly, steadily. The atmosphere began to shift, subtly. The heaviness in the room started lifting. Dave didn't even realize when tears began to roll down his face again. The pastor kept singing. Minutes passed. Then something happened. A small sound. One of the nurses looked up. Wait! Another second. Amara's fingers moved, slightly. "Doctor!" a nurse called out immediately. Dave froze. No one moved for a second, as if they weren't sure what they just saw. Then, her chest rose, a sharp inhale, another one. Her eyes fluttered. Dave staggered forward. "Amara!" The doctor rushed in. Check her. Everything changed at once. Monitors, voices, movement. But in the middle of it, Amara opened her eyes, weak, confused, but alive. Dave dropped to his knees. The room erupted into controlled chaos. But the pastor stepped back quietly. No celebration, no announcement, because he understood something they didn't. This wasn't victory. It was mercy. Hours later, when everything settled, he asked to speak with them. Amara was sitting up now, weak, quiet. Dave sat beside her, holding her hand tightly, as if letting go would change something again. The baby slept nearby. The pastor pulled a chair and sat down. He looked at her for a long moment. "Do you understand what happened?" he asked. Amara shook her head slowly. tears already forming. I almost died, she whispered. The pastor nodded. You did. Then he leaned forward slightly. Look at where you're coming from. Her expression shifted. Your background, your family, your community. She swallowed. You know how things are there, he continued quietly. Amara nodded slowly. Good things doesn't come easily. Her lips trembled. It's true, sir. To rise is not normal there, he added. Dave listened silently. Then the pastor continued. When you got married the way you did, you broke a pattern. Amara's eyes dropped, but instead of covering it, you exposed it. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You showed everything, he said. Your marriage, your joy, your pregnancy. And not everyone who watches is just watching. The words sat heavily in the room. They don't need to be close to you, he continued. They only need access. Amara's shoulders shook. What happened during your labor was not ordinary. Dave's grip tightened. They waited. The pastor said quietly. They waited for the moment you would be most vulnerable. The plan was simple. He looked at her directly. Lose you or lose the child. Amara broke down completely. I am sorry, she cried. I didn't know. That is why Mercy spoke, the pastor said calmly. Then he added, not everything should be displayed. Some things should be protected. Amara nodded slowly. No argument this time. No resistance. Just understanding. Days later, she returned home. Her phone was still active, still buzzing. Messages, notifications, mentions. People were waiting. Where have you been? Post your baby. We miss you. For a brief second, something inside her responded. That old pull. They need to show, to share, to be seen. Her thumb hovered over the camera. Then she paused. Not out of fear, out of understanding. She lowered the phone, placed it face down. No announcement, no explanation, no final post. Just silence. And this time, she didn't feel like she was losing anything. She felt like she had just taken something back. Something she didn't even realize she had given away. Her privacy. She stood up, walked to where her baby was lying, and sat beside him, quietly. No camera, no audience, just her. And this time, she understood something she didn't before. Not every open life is a safe place. Not every audience is harmless. Not everything that brings attention is worth the cost. Days passed, then weeks. Her page stayed quiet, no updates, no videos, nothing. People started assuming things. Some said she had given birth and was hiding it. Some said something went wrong. Some just waited. Then one afternoon, a new post appeared. No grand comeback, no explanation. Just a simple video. Amara sitting by a window. Natural light, no background noise. She didn't mention her husband, didn't mention her child. She just spoke, not about her life, but about something else entirely. Something thoughtful, something calm, something different. People noticed immediately. The comments came in fast. This is not what you used to post. What happened to your old content? Where is your husband? Amara ignored all of it. Next video, same pattern. No personal details. Just her and her voice. Then another and another. The pattern became clear. She wasn't gone. She had just changed what she allowed people to see. At home, nothing was recorded anymore. No casual videos. No come with me moments. No camera following her around. If she laughed with her husband, he stayed there. If the baby cried, he stayed there. If anything good happened, he stayed there. Online and offline were no longer the same space. And slowly, her audience adjusted. Some people left. They wanted the old version of her. The access, the closeness, the details. But others stayed. Not for her life, but for her presence. And this time, there was no pressure to prove anything. No need to show happiness. No need to convince anyone. One evening, she sat on the couch while her husband played with the baby on the floor. She watched them quietly, no phone in her hand, no urge to record, just watching. Dave glanced at her briefly, then back at the child. Nothing needed to be said, because for the first time, everything that mattered was no longer on display, and this time, it stayed that way. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share with your loved ones, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.